Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Benjamín again. Welcome to a new episode of Find Your Purpose. Um, Today's topic is going to be about something that's very close to my experience, to my heart of community college. Community college. I think there's a lot of stories there of people who been in the community college system, um, who've taken a class, semester, been there for a while, and I think it's something that we need to talk about. So this topic of today is called community college student. No problem. We got this. And today I have two guest speakers. One is from the 831, where I'm from Salinas, California. Really happy she's here. And the other guest speakers comes from KTC SoCal. So looking forward to talking to Ronnie later in the day. So let's go ahead and invite our first guest in. Let's see. It's logging in. She's connecting. I already accepted her to join.
Hi, everyone.
Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you? Good to
Good
see
after
you.
20 years.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's been a long time. We know each other since our fathers played soccer together. This is a long time ago. I remember those definitely good cold times.
Yeah, we were just running around being kids, and now we're here being professionals.
Hey,
So,
we got to do what we got to do to try
so
to
thank
help
you
our.
for inviting me and encouraging, these students or, to achieve their dreams.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for participating. I think, like I said earlier, I think this is a topic that's really close to my heart because it's an experience that I obviously went through, and I know you experienced something as well of attending community college, and I'm a proud product of community college. I think it was a place where I made a lot of mistakes, was trying to find myself, trying to find my purpose, and I didn't find all my answers there, but I think it really helped me um, get to the next step in my life, which was in Hartnell College, right? In Salinas, where we're from, Salinas,
Yes,
California, the good old 831.
born and
But yeah, tell me a little bit about you. Like, where'd you go to school? Obviously, you went to Hartnell, but where else did you go to school after Hartnell? What did you major in? What are you currently working on?
yeah. So, I'm proud of, having gone to a community college as well, mainly because it did set me up for success later. For and I went to Hartnell and then San Jose State, and then later, after a couple years of working in my first professional job, I went to CSUMB to get my master's. So it was definitely a good foundation and gateway to start, just leveling up, reaching the goals that I had for myself and my future. But most importantly, I'm proud of that because, being from an immigrant family and low income family, you don't always have the resources to go straight to a university. And I am here to show you guys that it's anything is possible. Whether you have to start at a community college, you shouldn't feel any less, than anybody else because they were able to go to a university. You're still getting an education. Um, you make the best out of it. So, giving it your all and getting organized, reaching out for help when you need it is super important, especially in community college, where when you're learning that nobody's there to tell you take this class, this is what you need to do
Yes.
next. Whether your goal is to just get your associates and graduate from a community college, or you want to transfer out into a university, just having the vision, the final end result, in mind all the time, and staying focused to follow your pathway that you need to follow. You can still have some fun, like take some fun classes that you're curious about here and there, but just keeping that in mind. And going back to why I'm proud of being there, and my parents couldn't send me to a university right away.
Mm.
I felt accomplished that I was able to stay in Salinas,
Yeah.
um, work while I went to school. You know, one of my big goals was always, and not because my parents wouldn't support me, but because I was like, you know what, I'm going to help them. And my way of helping them is going to be by me working for my education and getting through myself. You know, I don't want them to worry about me. And that was just my personal choice. You know, they always offered help, but I was always, you know, a little proud. I did take it once I was in the university. You know, it just gets tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm currently working at MCSIG. It's called Municipalities Colleges Schools Insurance Group in Salinas. So we're basically an insurance group for teachers. You know, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, and Harnell is actually part of our pool, so it's pretty cool. You know, in that sense, I'm giving back to my community and the college that kind of brought me up. Well, my title's kind of crazy. I'm a health strategy and care solutions specialist, and all that means it's
That business card is probably super cute.
Yeah, I don't even give it out. Just kidding. No, it's all it is I'm a wellness program coordinator. So I don't really do much with the insurance, but I do. It's kind of like an employee wellness program. So if you work for like a big corporate, they have wellness programs for employees, and that's kind of what I co-manage.
Okay. You mentioned a little bit of going to community college and staying there a little longer. So was it during high school, did you decide, okay, I'm going to go to Harnell, or did you choose, or there was like no other way? Oh, well, that's what I have only here.
No, my plan was definitely to get out of here. You know, I actually wanted to go to San Diego. Now that I think back and you bring it up, I wanted just to go, you know, be a young person out and be free. But education was always my main like goal. I wanted to, you know, be the first in my family to graduate from college, have a professional, you know, job. So no, it wasn't in my plans, but when I applied and I actually got accepted to like 4 different universities,
Wow.
San Jose State being one of them. And I still, you know, I didn't see a way of me leaving, paying for rent without my parents' support. So I stayed. And my first major was nursing. So yeah, it's a long story, but I ended up dealing with a bunch of personal, you know, like health issues. I dealt with anxiety and depression during that time it started. So I was like, how am I going to be a nurse and take care of people when I'm trying to just take care of myself, you know? So that's another thing that I think a college student needs to keep in mind, that life throws things at you and you should just never stop, you know, whether you have to change your major. You know, I changed it for that reason, but I ended up falling in love with nutrition, which was my bachelor's degree. I got a nutritional science bachelor's once I transferred out to San Jose State. So I'm happy I did that. I still transferred out with a nursing major, but then that's when I realized this is what I love. So I just always kept an open mind, you know, for what I wanted to do. But just never stop. Just always, as long as you're working, you know, it's like the big success. It's like little successes that you add up, you know.
Yeah.
And then to that big goal that you have. So key is just to always just keep going.
Yeah, because I mean, if correct me if I'm wrong, you're the oldest of your siblings.
Yes.
And in a Latinx family, being the oldest, the first child, being a daughter, there's this different type of pressures too. No, you mentioned like staying and trying to help your family out, for them not to help you financially. I'm in the same boat. I remember going to community college and trying to find a job. I wasn't like, didn't know what job, like do I have to? And but then I also had in my mind, being the oldest of my sibling, because I have an older brother as well, but he's a half brother, but he's my brother too, you know. But growing up, it was just me and my younger brother. So my mentality was always, I'm the oldest, and also the first in my family to go to college too, just like you. And like this mentality of pressure of like trying, yes, to go to college, feel all lost, but trying to not take away from our parents. You know, if I can't contribute, I don't want to take away. So I was like you, like I would take the bus to community college, good old MST, not take money from my parents, even if I had nothing on my wallet. My dad was always like, here, you have money? Oh, yeah, I have money. But I didn't have anything. I didn't want to try to ask him for nothing. It's hard. It's definitely hard. And a lot of the students I work with, or a lot of students today, are still very similar in that sense. Like I have students who are here in San Jose and they still work. Obviously, pandemic right now, it's might be a different situation, but all of them still work and have this idea as well as like when you and I were, and I still have it. Trust me, today nowadays, try to help my parents as best I can, and be there for them, just like they were for us. So it's a tough thing trying to balance all that, which was another episode of that we had, but like balancing life, school, work, and your own personal stuff. Like you mentioned, you were going through some health issues as well, which it could be a lot for a student. And that's why my next thing of like graduating, they always call it a 2-year college. Would you consider it a 2-year college? Did you transfer in 2 years? Or I didn't. I transferred in 3 years and a half.
Yeah, 3. I started in 2008 after I graduated high school. And I wanted to, might as well. I was taking all these classes, got my associates, for whatever reason. And then at the same time completed my my transfer units. So, because I did always have, I was going to get my bachelor's. That was not it for me. If it is, you just want to complete community college, there's nothing wrong with that. We all have a different way of achieving success. So, but yeah, I'm just a forever student, I guess. That's why I ended up going to CSUMB, getting an MBA while I had 2 kids. So
hey, that's awesome. That's super awesome. It's like
it is easy to feel lost, in school when you're fresh out of high school. Like I said, having to take responsibility for yourself, and getting organized. I say, a key thing is doing daily tasks that you need to complete that day, and just knocking them out. It's like pleasure for me just to knock things off a list. So
it feels great for sure. You're like, yes, make this payment.
Attainable, for your daily, weekly, and then like monthly, or like for this semester, I want to, accomplish this. Like, just get through it, man. Like, just keep going.
And who I completely agree. And in community college at Hartnell, I had a lot of friends who would tell me, oh yeah, like I'm transferring next semester and so forth. I was like, well, how do you even do that? Like, so I remember someone told me to go to the transfer center and I never went. I would never go, but like, yeah, I'll go, and I would never go. So how did you know how to transfer and how to like what classes to take and all that kind of stuff?
So I looked at the I remember there was this like sheet that said everything that would qualify you for each requirement that you needed to transfer. So I did plan most of it out myself. I probably checked in with the counselor a couple times just to make sure that I was on track. And that's it. I just, I used that master sheet and made sure that I got the most done. And every time I was choosing my classes, okay, what do I need? Like, I just always fell back on that. And I would look at it often to see my progress, how far I had come in completing those like requirements, and then planning it out, So, yeah.
That's cool.
Sometimes
that's good.
You're getting your semester classes in and you don't get everything you want. So looking at it often, and then do ask for help when you need it. Like I said, nobody's going to be there to hold your hand and say, hey, you're gonna, you're not gonna be able to transfer if you don't take this class. So you have to go out there and check in with somebody. They're there to help you, but they're not gonna come to you. You have to go to them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's how it is. And it can be intimidating, trust me, to go and ask for help, to go to a stranger and kind of like tell them.
We're a little proud. We want to do things our own. So it's okay. I mean, use the help that is there for you.
Yeah, when I went to the transfer center, when I finally went to the transfer center, the lady there was her name's Miss Castillo, older Latina lady, reminded me one of my tias who was like the strong tia, who tells you when you're messing up and to be quiet and stuff. So I go to her, and she tells me, like, she looks at my GPA, looks at my class, and she's like, well, you're not going anywhere with this. Like, she legit told me straight up what I needed to do, what I
Yeah.
was messing up on, and gave me a plan, checking with me every semester. So she spoke to me in a way where I couldn't say nothing.
Yeah.
I respect it, but I followed through based on her because I didn't want to feel that same feeling of like, well, like of vergüenza. I don't know how to say it in English.
Yeah.
Of like feeling like embarrassed of my grades. I was like, what? I can do this, you know? So she kind of
Yeah.
like turned something on, a switch on me. And I feel always be thankful to folks like her who along the way have guided us and helped us in
Yes.
where we're
I
at today.
tell you guys, I had to retake classes, you know, because I didn't get the B or the A. Got a D a couple times, so it's all right. You know, that's why it
Mm-hmm.
took me 3 years. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and not because, you know, I'm not smart, like I'm very smart, but like I said, life throws things at you and you
Yeah.
get distracted and it's okay.
Yeah,
You're,
it's okay to make the mistakes. That's how we learn. Where this life's not perfect, we're not perfect, and the community college system is not perfect. But if we guide ourselves with the correct people and ask for help and be vulnerable about it, we'll get there.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I know we're at time. It's 12:46, so thank you so much for joining me and
Thank you
supporting
for
the
inviting
cause.
me anytime.
Yes, yes. I'll look forward to hopefully working with you in another video. Who knows? Like once pandemic's over, like my father
Everything's
take him to your
possible.
father, have a reunion.
Yeah. He did ask about your dad, so
My dad
any
does well. They're proud men. They don't call each other. You know how Latinx
oh,
men
he
are.
did say he wanted to reach out, so definitely shoot that over to me.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Well then, thank you so much.
Have a good weekend. Bye,
You
guys.
too. Bye. Okay, okay. Well, thank you, Jessica, for joining me in this part of the topic. I think it's very important to get a perspective from someone who comes from my hometown. You know, like it's very proud for me to be able to bring this to this video and to the folks that are watching and potentially watching in the future. And now I would like to invite our next speaker, Ronnie. If you're there, Ronnie, come through. Where are you? Let me see. Oh, let me invite you. Sending the request. I'm getting better at this. This is the third episode. I should be mastering this, no? But while we wait for him, or for Ronnie. Oh no, wait. There he is.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey.
can you hear me? Can you see
Hey.
me?
Hi, hi.
Hey,
Yes. Let me
¿cómo
see.
estás? How are
That's
you?
because I can see it. ¿Y tú?
Good, good. Yeah, here. Friday. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining me on this topic on the video of today.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Tell me, Ronnie, where are you from? What do you
Good.
do? Who are you?
Well, first of all, I'm repping my West LA College shirt.
Hey, nice.
So I thought it would be a good idea to
I think
wear
it's
it.
appropriate.
Well, my name is Ronnie Castellanos. He, they pronouns. I work with KTC, as you mentioned earlier. I work with the college success team right here in the LA area, so Southern California.
Hey.
I'm from Guatemala, so you're out here representing us Central American folks. And so I work with our college students, kind of the same thing as you do. And as you see, I attended West LA College. It was my main college. And I love how Jessica was talking about like different steps of the journey. Mm-hmm. So I actually ended up attending about 5 different community colleges in LA.
Wow.
What they call now a swirler. So you're just swirling around. So I didn't know this until later, right? But basically, when I couldn't find a class, I would I would drive to another college to take the class so that I could meet my transfer requirements. So, but my main one was the Lake College. So I started as a liberal arts major because I wanted to be a teacher, and then I finished my associates of transfer in psychology, and yeah, so I transferred to UC Santa Barbara in 2016. My gosh, 4 years ago. And so I was a little older, so I think that for me that was different because I was 25 at the time. So It took me about 6 years to complete whatever requirements I had to complete for community college. And I think Jessica hit this right on the nail. Was
Mm.
gives a different opportunity for just how you navigate them. So let me see. I'm gonna see if I can move this here because I think it was cutting off a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, freezing a little bit, a little pixelated. I'm trying to like clear my vision to see if it's
I
my eyesight,
know.
but no, it's your connection. It's totally
I'll just
fine.
hold it
Hey,
here.
it's cool.
Hey, we're doing this online stuff.
Yeah,
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 so
it's totally fine.
yeah. So when I went to UCSB, I did my major was sociology and LGBTQ studies, and I finished there in 2018, and then I UCLA for my master's in higher education. Which it wasn't even planned, It was just like I'll just apply, I would see if they get me, and they did. So I was like, okay then. But most of my time in my education was as an undocumented student, so
Okay.
that was a big struggle. The reason why it took me so long, but yeah, that's a little bit about that.
Hey, that's thank you for sharing. I think that's you brought up a lot of things that I see my students or students in general today like experiencing as well. Like you're mentioning the different community college. I have a couple students who do similar things here. There's a couple community colleges here in the area that they take a couple community college classes, maybe one college called Lianza, a college called Evergreen, etc., so they can transfer or meet the requirements sooner. Because some of these classes get packed so fast, they can't add them, and they don't want to like risk trying to get an ad code and all that stuff. You know how that works. So yeah, I'm sure hopefully a lot of students identify like that, and then the struggle is real. Like I said, community college system is not perfect. It's its own thing that you have to manage. But I wanted to talk with you about the stigma of community college. You know how there's this thing about it that everyone's like, yeah, even I experienced it too. I remember when I started working at this job, I would tell students, oh, it's okay, like you go to community college and you'll get out of there 2 to 3 years. And I had this mentality, get out. Versus someone told me, you know what, it's not about getting out. It's about embracing that you're there, learning and appreciate that you're there, and like learn from it. So I was like, you know what, you're right. Like I should change my own way of talking about this. And I think it's because there's a stigma of, oh, you're gonna go, you're a 2 year student, like what. So I don't know, can you tell me a little bit about, do you see that with the students that you work with, or did you experience it, the stigma?
Yeah, so I think right off the bat, the when you're in high school, I think for me, we had a program where students can go take classes while you're in high school, which is a little different for a charter school. So a lot of us could go. So there was, at the beginning, they were like, oh, was you just go take college classes. You were very excited. But we did notice that in the end, sorry, there's like the trash happening right now.
Oh, it's okay. Earlier there was a guy going with the grass.
But we didn't notice until we were in class, and then there were students who would be like, oh, like, I don't know, why did you even come here? Like, you could have gone to another college. So then we were like, why are people having these like conversations? That didn't hit me until I started my own journey in community college, where people were and I think that it may come from different, either the schools or counselors. It just depends the way that it's framed, right? I think as you said it. So I think that an opportunity for me was to see that community college was a pathway to many other, it just opened the doors for me, and frame it from more of a, not just a positive light, but to see the different ways that people can go about their education. So I think the big stigma was that community college is not real college. I think that's one of the things I've heard a lot, that the professors are not as prepared as other professors, that the counselors are not invested in helping, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was some of the things that I realized, that I'm like, how do I challenge myself to break that. Um, they have stigmas about Latinos, right? Like Latinx people,
Yeah.
right? So I think
Yeah.
that was like a little bit about the way that I thought about it. And I think the other big stigma was, oh, I'm never gonna get out of here. It's gonna take me forever. I'm gonna get stuck.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Or yeah. So I think the way that I went to solve those problems were like having mentors and making myself uncomfortable in the terms of reaching out, right? Like, and going to, like you said, the transfer center, and going to the dream, club. At the time there was no center or anything,
Uh,
to help me and say like, okay, this is the way that it's possible to transfer and finish and complete. So those were
yeah.
some of the
Yeah. I completely agree with you. Uh, I like I told Jessica, I feel proud that I started my education journey in a community college. I feel like I wasn't ready. I don't think in my high school, the system that I was in, the public system, really prepared me or provided me the skills or the knowledge to know what's outside of the bubble that I lived in, which was Salinas. Like I didn't San Jose. I only knew the flea market, Great America, and the airport. That's all I knew. I didn't know there was any like all these other things now that I live here, and like things like that our school didn't like. They would say is they would bring army folks to talk to us so they can recruit us. They would provide us with all these called ROP classes to like be a mechanic, to be this, to that, because like again, a bunch of white folks, right, who were administrators, who were counselors. My counselor, Mrs. Gray, I went with her to in junior year, and she was like, I asked her like, just hey, like, I want to know about universities. Like, I don't know nothing of, I would want to know to see, how I can go, I guess. Because like again, I'm the first one. I didn't know how to even ask that. I just asked like, and all she did was she just turned around, got a fat catalog from the CSU system, put it on the table. She's like, everything you need to know is in this book. And I was like, oh, okay. So what did I do? What does a student do when they get a book they don't have to read? I got the catalog. I threw it on under the bed. My mom asked me, hey, did you ask the counselor about university? Oh, yeah, I did. So I didn't do nothing. The expectation for people, for brown folks in Salinas, and I think this is very similar in a lot of other areas, was whether if you end up graduating high school, it's the community college. That's where you're going to go. So in community college, the one that I attended, I saw everybody from high school, a lot of people from high school. It felt like, it's called Hartnell. So we called it Hartnell High School because we saw everybody that was in our high school. We were now 18, so no one could tell us what to do. We can skip class whenever we wanted, go do other dumb things, and no one's gonna say nothing. We would get a financial aid for the ones that qualified. Hey, I got money. Where are we going? So yeah, there's a lack of guidance, and for the stigma piece to it, like it's still very vivid today. With students, I talk to my students. I'm like, okay, so where you going? Like, oh, well, I guess I'll go here. Like, I have no other choice, and they don't see it as like, yo, that's a great choice. Like, why be proud of it? No, I in my resume, for example, I tell my students I have AA from Hartnell Liberal Arts. I put it on there. I'm not afraid of it. On the LinkedIn, I have it on there as well. Everywhere, like I have it on my parents' wall next to all the other ones. And I tell them, hey, like that's right there. That's where I was able to find myself, like I was telling Jessica, in a way, and made all the mistakes I needed to make. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not none of that. Like it's part of my life, and I'm so proud of it. And I wouldn't change anything of it. So stigma, it's always going to unfortunately be there. Like you mentioned, for Latinx folks, we have it. We still experience it. Black folks experience it as well. And the stigma, the stereotypes, and everything else that we are experiencing in this world right now, unfortunately. But it needs to come within us too. Like we need to make that change. So that stigma, it's definitely real.
Yeah. Amen to all you said. Yes, so true.
Say something back to me though.
I'm like,
you're like, ¿qué voy a decir? No, yeah.
No, but I feel like what you say is true, and I think the testimony matters. It's very important. So
that's why I want to do videos like these, so folks like you, like Jessica, like anybody else that are getting part of these videos, they can share their experience. And for people, not just my students, but anybody can hopefully connect and listen to these recordings, and hopefully find something they can take with them.
Yeah, I agree. So
Yeah.
I think it's important that there's conversation keeps going, and that conversation comes from different folks too. And I think, as you said, like West LA is a predominantly Black and Latinx serving community college, and I think that's the stigma that can come from, even when you talk in terms of race and gender. Like there's always going barriers, but I think how we go about being strategic and learning, I think that was one of the biggest skills that I had to learn was how do I position myself, sadly, right, in a way that I have to do a little extra work just so that I can maneuver or just navigate it better. And then when you get to a 4-year, it's a whole nother journey. But
oh yeah, that's another video for sure.
yeah, so I think that just thriving in community college, I think that would be a good way to look at it. Like, how do we thrive from this?
And for our students who are dreamers, what advice can you provide to them for those attending community college?
Yeah, so I think right now there's obviously it depends on the legal status of every student. So I do want to say that right off the bat, that it depends on the specific case. I would say on a general note, learning not to, I think, to embrace the different status. So for me, I was undocumented, and then I became documented, right? So, which was another term where you folks are yourself DACA, but then you have students who may not be eligible for DACA. So what happens, right? So then there's other ways, right now, with like through the California Promise program, or being exempt from out-of-state fees. That was one of the first ways to do that. And now there's like growing undocumented resource centers across California, and I think they were one of the first, if not the first state to start those centers. And before, there were only students that were activists were creating clubs, and then I think that was the way to get through, was like, hey, I know, do you need a job? Like, here, I can connect you to this person. Or let's sell some food, to fundraise for someone's tuition. So I think that the grassroots organizing that's come from undocumented students has really paved the way. But I would say, right now through social media and other, I know the Immigrants Rising organization has been doing a lot of work with helping students frame it, where we say like, oh, I'm undocumented, I may not be able to go to college. There's some sort of way to work around it. So I think it's about staying informed and also accessing those legal resources whenever possible, right?
Yeah, and I agree with you. Just like Jessica said, like not being afraid to collaborate with others, asking for that help. Like you mentioned, now there's all these centers. They might be called differently, right? But all these centers that can provide that support, EOP, OPS, at community college could be a good starting point, in case you might not know, well, where's these things, or where are these things at? What are they called? EOPS can be a good resource, a good start. Not being afraid, because again, like, trust me, I go with this with my students all the time. We go to the admissions office, or we go to like specific offices. It can be intimidating the way they talk to students, the way they sometimes even talk to me. I'm like, yo, I'm a professional. What's going on? Like, I'm not student. I'm like, this is not the way you talk to students. I remember it's like, we're not at the DMV here. No shade to DMV, but it's tough. It's tough. You're working with students. You need to know that students might be lost, and that's okay. You're there to guide the students, not to lecture them. So I know it can be intimidating, but just finding those, like Jessica said, finding those people to collaborate with, or asking a friend, hey, like, where do I go for this or for that, and like not staying quiet. Like it will be hard to find that if you don't ask for that help, and you're not expected to be an expert in a community college system or anything that you do, but asking for help. Trust me, I've learned. I've always was a I don't need help, because the ways I was raised. But now it's sometimes I find it hard too. But I think I'm more comfortable at times, more than trying to stay quiet for these things.
Yeah, and I think that's a skill, that it's a life skill. I think little by little, and of course, right, being mindful that some folks are more introverted, extroverted.
Yeah.
But finding, like you said, exactly just that niche of friends or like support or someone, like go back to that counselor that made you feel comfortable. And like, where do you find those spaces where you're like, I can say something, I can do something,
Yeah.
and collaborate? I think as was mentioned.
Yeah, well, we are at time. I know we went a little bit over time, but it's totally fine. I thought it was very important for us to mention a little bit of that as well. But thank you so much, Ronnie, for being part of this movement that we're doing here. And I say we because it's all of us. You know, it's not just a me thing or a you thing. It's all of us trying to make this like make something happen with this. I don't know where it's gonna go, but I'm excited to continue doing this. And inviting folks just like you, great people that are doing great things in our community, whether NorCal, SoCal, you know, whichever, you know.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much, Jessica and Ronnie, again for joining me in this conversation. We can talk for hours about this, but I want to be respectful of their time, of my time, and of all of your time as well. And yeah, community college. It's challenging but fun. Trust me, it's fun. The next topic, stay tuned because in 2 weeks we're going to talk about what does it mean to be Latinx. What does that mean? You know, like we're in the Latinx Heritage Month. I think it's important for us to talk about it. So we'll have two guest speakers there as well, and we're going to talk about identity, growing up in the U.S. as a Latinx person, as a person of color, and what does that all that mean? You know, so stay tuned for that, and remember to follow this page and to find your purpose. See you soon.